So anyway, I say to the guy, if I had a face that looked like yours, I shave my dog's butt and have him walk backwards. Hey, what are you doing here? Stop. Right now, get in the car, drive to the theater, and see the greatest horror movie and the greatest comedy this year. And I'm not talking about a double feature. I'm talking
Nope.
about one film.
Same movie. Who are you?
Sometimes I wonder. I'm Dr. Paul.
I'm Diet Dr. Paul.
And together we are...
I try to think something clever to say other than rotten potatoes, and every time I just get nothing.
It's father, son.
Yeah.
Boomer.
Millennial.
Yeah. And we are here to talk about movies just like we do. We go see movies, we talk about it. You do the same thing. And we hope that this is an opportunity. We see this generational divide. We talk about movies, comic books, travel, model kits, all kinds of movies. I keep threatening that we're going to do silent film, but I'm not in charge of programming.
He's allowed to do whatever he wants. He just,
Yeah.
holding on for dear life.
Yeah. So we are talking about
Weapons.
Yeah.
By Zach Kreger.
Yeah.
Who might be he was my boyfriend. Yes, Zach Kreger's Weapons, the very, very, very highly anticipated horror film. We've been seeing trailers about it. We've been hearing debates on the trailer and use of AI in the trailer. And was it going to create a terrible movie and this, that, and the other? And we're here to put it all to bed.
And already you know about it. Already you've seen the hype. Already you've seen the Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's good. But what does Rotten Taters think about it? Quick synopsis. I think there's like 17 kids, 15 kids, all in the same classroom that in the middle of the night, 2:17 in the morning, run out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about why did they go? Where did they go? And it's the relationship between primarily the teacher of that classroom, the father of one of the children that disappeared. There's one sole child left that didn't run off in the middle of the night that's in that classroom. Him and his family, and then supporting characters that are connected, all of this. So in some cases, it's a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you say on TikTok that arguing if there are people that say that it's not even a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a horror film.
I do too.
I think it's one of the best. I think it is this is a renaissance of horror in 2025.
Been saying it all year, baby.
Yeah.
And you've not even seen what, until now, I considered the best horror film of 2025, and that's The Ugly Stepsister.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna get you.
You keep talking about it, but we've seen so many, and usually for us to get good horror, we got to step out of the continental U.S. and we got to go to other places, Australia or
And maybe that's why it seems like a renaissance, because it seems like outside the U.S. is always they're keeping up their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
And this year we've gotten some really solid continental United States releases and not independent releases too, because they keep their end of the bargain. It's Hollywood that's been letting us down, and we've gotten some slappers from Hollywood this year. Obviously, Weapons together as an independent film, but sort of they're on the cusp. But Companions, The Monkey. I mean, it's been a big year.
Well, we saw it the opening night. It was just too late because I'm a senior citizen to come back here and record.
Well, it was my call not to record.
I know, but you were being kind. So
well, no, I did it for me. It was for my sanity.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah, sorry.
So in these hot takes, we normally, what's the good, what's the bad, and then what's our final verdict? Start us off on what you think is good.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is going to be a little bit different because I think this movie, the less you know, the better. And it's going to be really difficult to talk about this movie for more than 2 seconds without mentioning major spoilers. So if I were you and you don't want to know anything about it, I would turn the video off and come back later.
We started the whole episode telling people to go watch the movie.
Yeah.
They shouldn't
But there may be some stragglers. So if you didn't, I'm just telling you now, this is the last moment. This is the barrier.
You didn't go.
Right here.
I'm looking at you.
Right here.
Stop right now. Yep. Go watch the movie. We'll be here. We'll be here when you get back.
In 3, 2, 1. Nemo dies at the end. Okay? There you go. But anyway, the good. Let's see. Very, very unpredictable film. You're constantly asking yourself, like, what is happening? But not in a bad way. Sometimes it's so, ambiguous as what's happening. You're just like, what's happening? Come on, give me a clue. This was more like, wait, what is happening here? And you're trying to pick your way through it. And part of it is the story, part of it is the format. Um, and I'll get to some of that later in the bad, perceived bad. I don't think it's bad. The casting was great. I'm not
Yeah.
a big fan of all the actors that were involved in this. Julia Garner, I'm a little bit lukewarm on her, but
I thought it was
she
the best film she's been in.
absolutely did an amazing job. I thought Josh Brolin was sort of like the grounded centerpiece of this, but then you just said the guy's name and I can't remember his name. What's the police officer guy?
I can't pronounce his name. The
You said it
character
a minute
Paul.
ago.
Yeah, but I garbled it.
It sounded good to me.
Yeah, his name is Alden.
uh, Glad to, but him, Austin Abrams. I thought like the wife of
Benedict Wong.
Benedict. Yes, these like smaller characters just were just chef's kisses.
Austin Abrams, I think, just about steals the show.
He was one of my favorites, and such just playing like this junky kind of guy. And like how do you make a character like that endearing to the audience and sympathetic? Yes, did a great job with that. But I think my favorite thing was probably the cinematography and how it was like or revealed things on its own. It helped really make the thing tense. And it really was the scare aspect of this film was the cinematography, 100%.
Yeah. I think I agree with everything that you said. I also think that well, I said earlier it's best horror film, best comedy. Horror comedies, this is the first time that I know of in my memory where you have a horror comedy that really is horrific,
Mhm.
but it also have comedic elements to it, as opposed to a lot of horror comedies. You think about Shaun of the Dead,
Mhm.
it's really more comedy than horror. Young Frankenstein, clearly. This one is very creepy and scary and gory, but it also has the comedy helps break the tension and break and
Well,
the relief.
I
And
think
it's
that's the difference between a horror movie that's funny and a horror comedy. When I hear horror comedy, I think, okay, it's going to be disbelievably funny like Shaun of the Dead. And that removes some of the scary elements for it.
yeah,
That's the difference.
this is kind of now that I think about it, the character that plays the police officer that we're mangling his name was in Cocaine Bear, and I think Cocaine Bear sort of does that. It was comedic elements, but it was also that bear was scary and
Mhm.
the elements. So I thought I like that part of it. I also love when you have films that are it's sort of discontinuous how you weave it together. And essentially, you've got Act One where it sets up the whole thing that the kids are gone. Act Two is really looking from these main characters, each person's place in that story. And I read that the director had said that he made a rule for himself that once he completed that particular segment with that, okay, then he would never go back to it. There's nothing else new that happened in that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so you sort of see from everybody's perspective, and you get that, and then oh my goodness, I love that perceptive. So you thought you knew what was going on, and then you see it brings in another character from their perspective, saying, "Oh, now I get it." It just keeps you
It will
on your
reveal
toes.
another layer of that,
Hmm.
whatever we're
Yeah,
dealing with.
I thought when were in the theater, I mentioned about the score, and the score is it's a combination of music, but it's also sort of sounds. Philip Glass, a composer that does a lot of this type of stuff, where sometimes it's not melodic and it's not percussion, but it's just sound and how sound sort of contributes to that. I agree with you. The cinematography thing, it's truly creepy how you're going down hallways and lights under doors and stuff like that.
But
Um,
the Julia Garner scene with the scissors and the hair in the car, where it's framed, she falls asleep in front of this creepy house, and someone comes out of the house, and you just see her passed out. You know she's been drinking, so she's passed out in the front seat, and it's just in the front seat. You cannot see in the back seat of the car, and you see someone walk to the door, stop, stare at her, and then walk out of frame, and then you hear the car door open.
That's Alfred Hitchcock right there. It's we know what's going to happen kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And so we're terrified. It really was one of the scariest scenes in the movie
Hmm.
because we don't know.
Hmm.
And then we hear the car door opens, like, what's going to happen? Is it going to murder? Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, just really, that was a great directorial, sort of short move. Other less assured directors would have, they would have, well, first of all, she'd have been in this and got in the car and somebody would have jumped out of the back seat.
Yeah.
We've seen that so many
Mhm.
times in film. So yeah, it's very unpredictable from that perspective.
But it was unnerving. But there also, again, this is the second one in a row where we got really good jump scares too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you heard in the theater, but there was a moment where I audibly gasped out loud, and I was like, kind of afterwards, I felt really self conscious because it got me good.
Well, and it's interesting that you bring that up because I didn't remember that,
Hmm.
but I know that there was at least 2 times you laughed out loud, and I didn't realize that it had this comedic element to it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, kind of thinking, keep it down, kind
Yeah,
of.
because nobody else
No.
laughed.
And then towards, of course, that last act, Act
Yes,
3, that's
it
when it
opens wide
really
open.
just, yeah, and everybody's laughing and everybody's gasping kind of stuff. And that's where it's like, okay, now I realize I'm on the roller coaster portion of this particular film.
Yeah,
So,
it was very, very akin to a roller coaster, but it was kind of like just loop after loop after loop at the end. Just kept you
yeah,
going, kept you going, kept you going.
yeah. There is, it's really kind of interesting. We've never talked about this, but there is a scene in the movie. Um, it's a dream scene where a character comes out and they look back at the house, and over top of the house is an AK-47, and
Hmm.
it's got 217 across. And 217 is the time when the children left,
Hmm.
and it just gradually sort of disappears. And I've not read or seen anything at all about, well, what does that mean? But I did read today the interview with the director, and he said, I don't know what, I just did it. It felt like an interesting thing to do. I don't know if people are going to look at that and say, well, I'm trying to say something political about it or whatever. But dreams sometimes don't make sense.
No, they don't.
Sometimes it's just like, oh, yeah, kind
I'm
of,
glad he said that too. Like, I'm sure that there's a director out there that might have been like, "Oh, they think that this is like real deep, so let me get in on the joke now, and I'll just say that, pretend that I'm some sort of auteur filmmaking, so smart guy."
yeah,
When in reality, it's like, no, I just thought it looked cool, and I get behind that too.
yeah. I also read that Fincher was somebody that's very influential on him and sort of had given him advice in the past. Might have been on Barbarian. Did he direct that? On the
That was his
editing
first one.
of that.
Yeah, Barbarian was one that I didn't see when it first came out. I just didn't care for. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
blew me
So
away.
it was a near perfect movie. There's nothing negative we can say about it.
The end. Bye bye. No, it was perfect.
Well, you had mentioned during early on that what were your concerns, and I think you might have more of a concern with the structure
Yeah, well,
things
yeah,
that
I
I
think.
like about it.
Well, I'm not necessarily concerned for me. So this movie's getting really good reviews all over the place, and I'm a little bit surprised because it is not the most easy to digest film from its format perspective. First of all, it's really long. It's like 2.5 hours long. Second, for the first hour, it is not a horror movie in any sense of this of the word at all. It's
Right.
basically just pure setup. So I'm surprised that a lot of people just didn't go like, I am bored out of my mind right now. I'm very surprised I wasn't, but I'm surprised other people weren't. So I think that's going to be a huge drawback because it's such a episodic thing. It's like a 30-minute episode and then a 30-minute episode and then a 30-minute episode. And then we have a 30-minute episode and then we have a 30-minute episode. And it's like we've meet all these characters and we've not really gotten anything other than their origin story so far. So I'm surprised that honestly, if I were gonna say, okay, in my head, this is what the Rotten Tomatoes scores, I would have said the critics loved it like an 88 or a 90, and then the audience would be at like a 50%. That's really what I assumed this would be. So I am shocked and amazed that it is doing as well as it is.
Do you think it's too long?
I think that it probably could use with a little bit of culling, especially, and I don't know, maybe what order we are introduced into the characters has something to do with it. And maybe like the last character that we get introduced to, do we really need to rehash every aspect of these scenes? I don't know. I need to look at it again to see if there is some weight you can cut from it. But just from a sheer time perspective, you would think that maybe.
I think that the first act is the one where I think you could do some cutting
Yes, for sure.
because they do spend a lot of time, obviously, bringing the just understanding the disappearance of these kids and how the town is upset, and they're upset with the teacher and they're upset with the school. They should be upset with the law enforcement. You don't get as much of that. That sort of pulled me out. I'd say I wouldn't be worried about, well, what even the trailer says, I want to know her. What did she do? Why is it all of her kids that were gone? The teacher, instead of what are you doing to solve this crime kind of stuff. And you get a little of that. I think they spend a lot of time sort of on the backstory of the teacher and sort of
Hmm.
understanding her flaws. her, she's a heavy drinker, and so there's some and people that are sort of targeting her.
Mhm.
There's especially a lot of effort on her part to try to reach out to that sole little boy that didn't get taken from her class, and she's following him home, and the principal's saying, no, you can't do that, let it go, he's in another class. You need to separate yourself from the school as far as you can. I felt like that some of that just could have been cut a little bit, because I knew it's like, we don't know what's going on here. And there's a point in a movie where it's like, okay, now I get what I'm in.
Mhm.
Now I see what I'm in. And it took a while to get to that.
Yes.
And so yeah, maybe a little bit long on the first act.
Yeah, yeah. To go back to what you just said, the shoot, my brain just
I
farted
can
out.
restate everything that I
No, no,
just said.
no. Going down to like the police thing. So like there are some believability issues too with the police aspect. So you have this teacher, or you have the little boy, right? So his whole class disappears. He's getting pulled in for all these interviews. You're telling me that throughout that entire process, you didn't speak to his parents one time. You spoke to the crazy ass aunt.
The father was in that room.
But there
I
was
understand. He didn't say a whole lot.
no, there was something really weird. And if you're investigating the disappearance of 17 children,
Yeah.
and one kid is left and the dad is acting remotely strange, not saying a word, staring at the table, looking like he hasn't eaten, drinking, or slept in about a month, there's a difference there. And I get it's sort of like how the story needs to evolve. But from a believability perspective, that is an issue because
And
that
it,
wouldn't happen in real
and
life.
in fact, what's the key to that scene is when they show the scene.
Mhm.
They don't show that scene in Act 1 when
Mhm.
they're investigating it. They show it in Act 3 once you get and understand what's really going
Mhm.
on here, what's the mythos that goes with this, what's the villain and everything, and then it makes sense. Okay, so but
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah, I kept going back to with this movie. It kept reminding me of Long Legs, the Osgood Perkins movie, because of like it's just very similar stories. You have this person who's influencing other people and some object to do evil on whatever these people are, and you have the crazy person. The difference between the two is the marketing, though. We didn't know about the aunt. Didn't know about her at all. In fact, they show her in the movie, and it's not until about the 60% point that we even know who the hell she is and what the hell she is. I thought she's some sort of like clown monster for half the movie until we meet her. They leaned into the long legs, Nicolas Cage, who's the creepy guy. Which do you think was more effective?
I think Weapons was more effective.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
So, the last thing I'm going to say that's a negative is an anticipated negative. And I'm talking to you, Hollywood.
Oh, you don't want a series?
I do not want a franchise.
Yeah.
I do not want to see, okay, next time it's going to be 15 chimps taken from the zoo or
Yeah.
whatever, Can't we just tell a great story and move on and tell another different great story?
Yeah, I know I just made a video complaining and moaning about them rehashing and redoing things, but as much as I agree with what you're saying, I won't say there's not a universe or a story out there that they couldn't do that wouldn't be amazing. But Hollywood is not the thing that's going to lead with like, let's find a good story. They're going to want to find the marketable aspect and put that first, and that's the problem.
Well, and the difficulty with this is it's the journey that's the payoff. It's not knowing.
Hmm.
It's kind of like Sixth Sense. So they didn't do a sequel to Sixth Sense. How are you going to do that? Because
No.
the cat's already out of the bag, and we sort of see, okay, now we know what caused this and what the purpose of the whole thing was. And if they do a franchise of it, well, that's lost. Now it's just simply it's Final Destination. It's a series of set pieces with people dying. And we have enough. We've got Final Destination, which Bloodline was that's also one of my top ones this year. So
Guess what? They're making a sequel.
I know. I
just
that.
read it today. Yeah,
Yeah.
get it saved. Might make a video on it. Might not. Who knows?
So score.
Score.
What's your number?
What's my number? Okay. It's really good. It's not perfect, so you can't give it a 10. But I have to give it like a 9.5 out of 10.
I got 9. Yep, 9. I'm telling you, it was really It's not only, I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the year that it doesn't wind up on a lot of top 10 lists. Just and the top 10 lists typically are not genre lists, although if
Mhm.
you go to genre sites, it'll be the top 10, genre films. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sinners isn't one of the top 10, and I wouldn't be surprised if Weapons is, and I wouldn't be surprised if Life of Chuck, which certainly has horror DNA given
I
its
wouldn't be surprised if
authorship
Bring Her Back is
with
in there too.
yes,
People love
yes.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's a renaissance. I give it a 9. Clearly, it is the best horror movie that I've seen this year, and it sticks with you. You want to see it again.
It's the most creative horror
Yes.
film of the year, without a doubt.
I mean, and I think if I had to say what was the best thing of it, it's the casting. It is perfect.
Yeah, and what's crazy is I was reading that that they were ready to film this movie and they had complications, and then Pedro Pascal's schedule didn't work, so they had to recast the entire. Well, I think Kreger decided at that point, pull in it and let's just recast the whole thing, because I guess it made it smart. He liked those characters together, and it would have been interesting. But I'm so glad we stuck
Oh,
with
it's
the ones.
lightning in a bottle. I'm so glad too because as much as I like Pedro Pascal, and we're going to talk about him in the next review. Um, I think I agree with you. Brolin was just perfect on this.
And his first horror movie too.
Is it really?
Hmm.
Okay.
Come on back, Brolin.
Well, what do
What do
you
you
think?
think?
First of all, there's nobody here because you're all out in the movie theater
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
watching the movie.
But they can watch it later.
Yeah, they can. So, are we all wet? Do you think this is the best horror movie you've seen this year? Or are you going to pick something like I don't know?
I stress, other than The Sinners and Bring Her Back, if you have not seen it, Ugly Stepsister, it is foreign film, so yes, it's subtitles, but that movie, people were fainting, not hyperbole, people were fainting at the festival circuit from this movie.
Yeah. My fear is that a lot of our viewers like movies that have haunted dolls or crazy nuns.
There is a crazy nun and a haunted doll in this.
In Weapons, that's right. And
There's not.
spoiler alert, that's the crazy nun and the haunted doll. They
don't show up to the very, very end. You have to stick around for the whole time, but I promise you,
it is
it's worth
a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
And
What's sad is that people were in the aisles of this movie waiting, and I literally heard someone say, I guess it's not a Marvel movie. They've ruined it because
I
now
know.
everyone thinks there's a post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
Why would there be a post-credit scene for some movies? I don't know.
Yeah. And oftentimes the post-credit scene, when it's not one, I was glad there wasn't one on this because
It's
it's
a
like
teaser.
I don't want to see another. I want this. This was perfect. This was great. Leave it alone.
Don't
5
touch
years
it.
from now, they'll do a remake.
Yeah, they will. Or a prequel. That's what they'll do. They won't be a sequel. It'll be a prequel movie.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. So anyway, we love to hear what you have to say, and go invite your mom or your dad, your brother, sister. Go to the movies, and then sit around like we're doing
Trained
and
seals.
talk about it, explore the world. And other than that, we're going to see you where
At the movies.
Kill